Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is the first time you're joining me. My name is Megan and today I'm going to be sharing with you my library book sale haul. Alright everybody, so I have my shirt that says just a little bit of light reading. It's a shirt from Tea Turtle that I got when Tea Turtle was having one of their sales that they have fairly often, I think. And I just like it because it's this bunny holding a stack of books, which is about as big as the stack that I'm looking at to me off camera right now. So these are all books that I got from two different library book sales that were happening pretty much back to back. One happened in the first weekend of May, and then one is currently still going on. I think it's the rest of today and maybe tomorrow, but it did start on Wednesday in the evenings, and this was at a neighboring library, not my own local library. So the library book sale is something that I will always go to if I can. I don't usually purchase books because books are expensive and they are an investment, and I usually don't have the space. I actually don't have the space for any of these books. I have negative space right now, but I do like supporting the library book sales because this is my opportunity to get books for ridiculously inexpensive prices, and I feel a little bit more freedom to get books that I would like to read but maybe don't know when I'm going to read, and want to be able to read them at my leisure without having to wait for them at the library. And if I get them, realize that I don't really like them, I can always donate them back to the library, and I don't feel guilty of having spent lots of money on the book and then realize I didn't like it. So that's why I love library book sales. And I ended up with 11 books, and in total this cost me $8.50. So I mean, that's a pretty good deal. You really can't beat it. So I got a combination of books that I have read before, and they are some of my favorites, so they're gonna definitely stay on my shelves. And I also got books that I had heard really good or mixed to slightly positive reviews of, and definitely wanted to read. I also got mixed books in YA and in adult, and most of them are fantasy based or fantasy related books, but there's definitely a few that are not. So I think I got a pretty good mix. But let's go ahead and get into what I actually got. So the first set of books that I'm going to show you are all books that I got from my own local library book sale, which was offering books that are paperback for 50 cents each, and then hardback or hardcover books were $1. So that's why I was able to get so many for less than $1 each. The first book that I got was this one, and it's called So You Want to Be a Wizard by Diane Duane. And this is the first book in the the Young Wizards series. This is one of my favorite books. I have read this before. I've read this at least twice. It is a young adult novel, although I kind of feel like this might be on the younger end of young adult, but it is one of my favorite books. I believe this came out before Harry Potter. Don't quote me on that. 1983. So yes, before Harry Potter. And it follows these two teenagers that are kind of outcasts, and they discover this book that says, So You Want to Be a Wizard. And first they think it's kind of a spoof on those career books, but then they realize it's actually real. And by reading this oath and taking this pledge, then they become wizards and have access to these kind of magical elements that the universe offers. And however, in return, they have made the pledge to slow down the death of the universe. And that involves some very serious missions that they have to go on that, they may or may not come back from. So this is the first in the series. The other ones I've read up to probably book 4 or 5 in the series, and then I kind of lost interest, to be completely honest. But the first one is by far my favorite because it introduces the world and the mechanics of the world. So it does take place in what we would say is our own reality, but what's hidden and not unveiled until you take the oath of the wizard is all of the kind of magic that is around us. And so I just thought that was super cool. It almost looks at magic in a logical way or a more scientific way, or attempts to explain magic in a more scientific way. And so I just really enjoyed that. So this is a book that I always look for at library book sales. Finally, I've found it and I picked it up. I think last year at the library book sale, there was a copy of this, but it was a much older copy. And so it was like yellow, and I didn't want to pick that one up because it was discolored. But this one, there's definitely a little bit of wear to the edges, but it's still in pretty good condition. And I do like the image of that cover. So that's the first book I got. The next book I got is Daughter of Smoke and Bone, but this is by Laini Taylor. This was another paperback, so it was 50 cents. And again, as you can see, there's a little bit of wear. It looks like this might, have been read a couple of times or maybe put into a book bag. But overall, it's in pretty good condition. The spine's not broken. The pages on the inside look really good. I picked this up originally from the library, and I think I got distracted by other books or maybe even graduate school. So I didn't finish reading this or get very far, but I do remember liking what I read. I don't remember a whole lot about this. And so if I don't really know about the book, like if it's a book that I'm picking up with the intention of reading, I'm not gonna really explain it because I don't know a whole lot about them. But if it's a book like this that I'm picking up because I know I liked it, then I'll explain it. I have heard some kind of mixed to good things about this book and the series. I think what I kind of got a sense of is that people either like Laini Taylor's style of writing or they don't. And I know many people liked Strange the Dreamer, which is also by Laini Taylor. So I wanted to go ahead and give this one a try. I do like the cover. I like the blue. I think it's kind of cool looking. So I got that one. Another book that I got is from Ursula Le Guin, and this is The Other Wind. And the reason why I got this is because I like Ursula Le Guin. I've read her Earthsea, at least the first 3 in the Earthsea universe. And then I read one of her short stories for a linguistics class when I was in college, so this was many years ago. And I remember really liking that short story. I think it was The Birthday of the Universe and Other Stories. And I read the title story. But I basically, on the cover it says, a superb novel-length addition to the Earthsea universe, and that was what made me get this. This is also the same size as the Earthsea books that I have, so I thought it would fit in nicely with my collection if I do like it and decide to keep it. So I got that book. All right, this book is a book that I've technically already read. This is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Now, what I found with people is that they either fall into one of 2 opinions, and that is they love, 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 love this book, and the other one is that they hate this book. And I kind of fall into the hate or strong dislike for this book, but the reason is because, or no, I don't know if it's the exact reason, but my guess is that it might be because I listened to the audiobook version of it, and it took me literally a year. I stopped listening to it for like months at a time, but by the time I finished it, it was over a year long. Over a year had passed. And so one of the things I've kind of been wondering is that if I don't like a book that I've listened to, I wonder if I would like it better if I read it as a physical copy. I tend to go through physical copies a lot faster than audiobooks. So I was just wondering if maybe the audiobook was slowing me down. And I decided to go ahead and pick this up. So again, got this from my local library. So this was 50 cents. And I figured that if I read it again, or if I physically read it, didn't like it, gave it back to the library, I lose out on 50 cents. It's no big deal. And then if I find out that I do in fact love it because I'm reading it, then I would keep it. So that was my thinking behind that book. I'm trying to balance all these books on my lap because the books, I have a stack of books off to the side here, and they're precariously balanced on an empty cardboard box that is very narrow and tall and thus unstable. So I'm hoping nothing falls. All right, the next book that I got is one that I've seen in bookstores and always been intrigued about, but or intrigued by, but never picked up because buying from the bookstore is expensive. And it's called Pachinko by Minjin Lee. And my understanding is that this takes place in Korea in the early 1900s, and that's pretty much all I know. Since living in Korea, I've been more interested in Korean culture and reading things by Korean authors. So I wanted to, so like I said, this is something that has kind of been on my radar for a while since it first came out. And I've heard some good things about it, and now I finally got to pick it up. All right, this book is a book I know has come out recently this year, and it's The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. And this one was a hardcover, so it was $1, but as you can see, it looks brand new. Like the dust jacket doesn't even have any wear on it. So, I mean, this person either didn't read it or read it once at home and then donated it. So, like I'm trying to branch out into different genres. Thrillers and suspense has been one genre that's been a little bit more interesting to me or intriguing to me. And I've been trying out different books and different authors in that category. So I thought for $1, I would go ahead and try this one. Again, I've heard some good things. There's been a couple of like mixed reviews, but I've heard mostly good things from this. So we'll see. And the last book that I got from my local book library, or my local library, is this one, and it's Akata Witch, and there's the author. That I would probably be awful at the name because I also didn't have a chance to look at the name beforehand. And I think I have seen this. Is there a graphic novel version of this? Or is there an audiobook version? Anyway, I saw this and then I read the blurb, and it says that it's about this girl, Sunny, who lives in Nigeria, and she kind of realizes she has magical abilities. And I thought that was just really kind of interesting, and so I wanted to read this. This was one that came from the YA section of the book sale. So, don't really know a whole lot more than what's on the blurb, but it looked interesting, and I really like the cover. I think the cover is very, very pretty. Those are the books that I got from my local library, and then I got 4 more books from the neighboring library in their book sale that happened this past week. And these books are all $1 each. So whether it's paperback or hardcover, it didn't matter. It was just a flat price of $1. And there were actually several Cassandra Clare like Shadowhunter books. I think it was like all of the Mortal Instruments, all of the Infernal Devices, and then I think the first book or two of whatever the newest one is with like Lady Midnight and stuff. And I didn't get them because I thought that it was cash only, and then I learned out later that I could have used my credit card, like they had the Square credit card option, but it's probably better that I didn't get it. I wouldn't have gotten all of them, but I did want to get the Infernal Devices. I read and did not like the Mortal Instruments, and I only got through the first 3 books, and then I was like, why are there 3 more books? You don't need to have 3 more books. But on this series, like, we don't need to have 3 more books about Jason Clary. But I did really like, that siren. I have no idea when that siren could first be heard. So if you can hear that in the background before I realized you could hear it in the background, I'm so sorry. I have the windows open because it's a lovely spring day, but that also means you can hear everything outside. And so far we haven't heard any music or people talking. I had a moving van earlier, like I filmed this video like 3 times. My dog was walking around. So the siren can't be helped, but I'm sorry if it was louder than me at some points. I just didn't even realize that it was in the background until it was really loud. So anyway, I think I was talking about the Cassandra Clare books, and I kind of went off on a little bit of a rant, which is probably better that the siren interrupted me. My point was that I wanted to get the Infernal Devices, which is the Clockwork Prince, the Clockwork Princess, and then something else that I can't remember. And I did really like that trilogy. And I wish I had picked it up and maybe like the newest book, like Lady Midnight, or whatever the beginning of that series was, because I'd heard some good things about that. And I haven't read that yet, but I didn't. And I did go back to the library today to see if they still had them. And of course they didn't, because they were all hardcover, barely used. Like the edge of the dust jacket was just barely kind of like wrinkled, but otherwise the books look completely new. So of course somebody snapped them up real quick, and I don't blame them, because if I had realized that I could have used my credit card, I probably would have bought them, even though it would have meant like me carrying literally a stack of books in my arms because I didn't have a bag to put them in. But anyway, I digress with books I didn't get. It's probably better that way since I don't have any space on my shelves. So here are the 4 books that I did get. Like I said, all of these books are $1 each. The first one is The Martian by Andy Weir. This is actually a book that I did own previously, and then I gave it as a gift to a student who was moving on to graduate school for, I think, like astrophysics or astronomy. I don't know if that's what she ended up doing, but that's what she was interested in doing at the time. And she asked for recommendations for different books, and so I gave her mine, my copy of it. This is a book that I read for the book club at my local library, I think like 2 or 3 years ago, whenever this movie first came out. And I remember thinking like I wasn't going to like it from the first 3 chapters, and then 3 chapters in, I loved it. So this is a book I definitely wanted to have in my collection. And when I saw it, I was like, absolutely, I'm picking this one up. The other paperback that I got is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I've heard some really good things about this. I know that this, I think, is a trilogy, but I just saw the first one available and I went ahead and picked it up. I have read V.E. Schwab's Vicious and Vengeful, and I really liked her writing style and the way that she constructed the characters. So I thought that this one would be good as well. As far as I know, this is about like parallel universes and being able to travel between them. So they have the different color Londons: gray London, red London, white London, and black London. So that's all I know about it, but I know that it's referenced quite often in like book boxes, like book box subscriptions, and on BookTube. So that was a book I wanted to pick up. Another one that I've heard so much about on BookTube, and I feel is constantly in like book box subscriptions as like some of the merch that they give you, is this one, and it's Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So I know that this is part of, well, Leigh Bardugo did the Grisha trilogy, and I remember reading the first Grisha book and enjoying it, but didn't get back into the rest of the series. But I've heard so many wonderful things about this, that the way that the characters kind of interact with each other really just makes this a very fun book to read. And this had the black sprayed edges on it. I don't know if that's standard or not, but that in combination with the good things I've heard about it made me want to get this. And as you can see, the dust cover or dust jacket, however you call it, is a little bit worn. It does look like someone has put this in their book bag. The book itself and even the rest of the cover looks almost new. So to me, that's worth $1. Another book that I also thought was worth $1 is this one, and it's Patrick Rothfuss, The Name of the Wind. As you can see, it looks damn near new. Like, I see nowhere on the edges of this book cover. This book just looks like something that I would pick up off the shelves of a bookstore. So again, I've heard some really good things about this with Patrick Rothfuss and The Name of the Wind and the Kingkiller Chronicles. I have this on audiobook, haven't listened to it on audiobook. I'm a little bit hesitant to read it or listen to it on audiobook. And so when I saw this, I decided, absolutely, I'm gonna pick this up and read the physical copy of it first, and then maybe listen to it on Audible or audiobook afterwards. That's the last book that I got. All right, so this was a lot longer than I thought it was. This is the third time I've done this, and I was hoping that it would be a lot faster than the other times, but I think I also spoke slower, so I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and sticking around to the end. I'd love to hear from you if you've read any of these books, and if so, which ones would you recommend I read first? And then my other question is, if you haven't read any of those books, or if you'd like to share anyway, what books did you purchase recently that you are super excited about? I'd love to kind of hear that in your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.